Let us dive deeply into the very fabric of this script, examining every single word and phrase to understand the psychological architecture built within it. The opening word, ladies, acts as an immediate call to action, a direct address that creates an intimate circle of trust between the speaker and the audience, specifically targeting women who feel lost in love. The phrase, if there's one skill, suggests exclusivity and importance, implying that among all the things one could learn, this specific ability stands above the rest as the ultimate key to freedom. The speaker claims he spent the past 5 years of his life mastering this, which establishes credibility through personal sacrifice and time investment, showing that this is not just theory, but hard-earned wisdom gained through struggle. The word mastering implies a level of expertise that goes beyond basic understanding, suggesting a complete command over the subject matter. The core concept introduced here is detachment, a powerful psychological state often misunderstood as indifference, but here framed as a superior form of emotional regulation and self-preservation. The script then broadens its scope with whether you're single, currently dating someone, ensuring that no woman feels excluded regardless of her current relationship status, acknowledging that pain and anxiety exist in both solitude and partnership. The promise that there is one thing that can transform your love life completely offers hope and a clear solution to complex problems, appealing to the desire for a quick yet profound change. The phrase, learning to trust your own journey, shifts the focus from external validation to internal faith, encouraging women to believe in the path their lives are taking, even when it feels uncertain or painful. The warning not to become overly attached to any person or outcome serves as the central thesis, identifying attachment as the root cause of suffering and anxiety in modern dating. The speaker introduces himself with, "My name is Ismael Gomez. I'm a coach, writer, and speaker," listing his credentials to reinforce authority and trustworthiness, letting the audience know he has professional experience in guiding others. He says, "I'm here to tell you beautiful," using a term of endearment that softens the delivery and makes the advice feel like it comes from a caring friend rather than a distant expert. The conditional statement, "if you ever caught yourself obsessing over a man," identifies the specific pain point of obsession, validating the listener's hidden struggles and making them feel seen and understood. The list of symptoms overthinking your relationship with him confused. Anxious, struggling to let go and move on, paints a vivid picture of the emotional turmoil many women face, creating a mirror in which the audience sees their own reflection. The declaration, "This video is for you," creates a sense of destiny and personal relevance, making the viewer feel that this content was specifically created for their healing. The command, "So give me your full attention and stop multitasking right now," is a firm but necessary instruction to break the viewer out of passive consumption and into active engagement, emphasizing the importance of the upcoming information. The admission that some of these ideas are a bit difficult to grasp manages expectations, preparing the audience for deep work while promising that the effort will be worth it. The promise that they will help you become a woman that attracts rather than chases flips the dynamic of power, offering a vision of oneself as magnetic and desirable, rather than desperate and pursuing. The transition, okay, so let's begin, signals the start of the actual teaching, moving from the hook to the core content. Number 1, the outcome you're chasing identifies the first major psychological trap, pointing out that the focus on results is what causes the anxiety in the first place. The scenario when you find yourself obsessing over a man anxiously waiting for his text message describes a universally relatable moment of modern dating anxiety, grounding the abstract concept in a concrete reality. The instruction questioning whether he cares about you highlights the insecurity that drives the obsession, pinpointing the fear of rejection as the fuel for the fire. The command, "I want you to stop for a second and think about the outcome that you desire," forces a pause in the emotional reaction, inviting logical analysis of the emotional drive. The question, "What do you want to happen that will make you stop worrying?" probes the underlying motivation, asking the listener to identify the specific condition they believe will bring peace. The answer usually is, "Well, you know you want him to be consistent in his actions, right?" Validates the common desire for reliability, acknowledging that wanting consistency is normal and understandable. The list, loyal, responsible. And to demonstrate how much he loves you, outlines the specific traits women often seek, defining the ideal partner behavior that feels like the solution to their pain. The belief that once these pieces fall into place, you can finally live a happy life reveals the conditional nature of this happiness, showing how women put their joy on hold pending external circumstances. The pivot, however, ladies, when you look deeply, you realize that the outcome that you're chasing isn't really just about being with this man. Challenges the initial assumption, suggesting that the surface desire masks a deeper need. The clarification, it's not about happiness, joy, or even fulfillment is actually peace, distinguishes between fleeting emotions and a lasting state of being, identifying peace as the true goal beneath the chaos. The invitation, think about that for a second, okay? Allows time for this profound realization to sink in, ensuring the concept lands with impact. The explanation that all those other positive emotions that you envision are typically found within peace connects the dots, showing that peace is the foundation upon which all other good feelings rest. The anecdote you know whenever I'm coaching women who struggle with anxiety in the relationships. I always ask them to think back to when they were 5 years old, uses a coaching technique to regress the listener to a time of innocence, bypassing adult conditioning to find the core self. The description back when you were 5, when you worried about, getting a man to love your, back of finding your dream partner you weren't, right? Highlights the natural state of childhood where such worries did not exist, proving that anxiety is learned, not innate. The phrase, "you were just being you," celebrates the state of existence without agenda, contrasting it with the constant doing and striving of adulthood. The observation, "you weren't thinking about any of these outcomes. You were fully present, enjoying the moment," defines the state of flow and presence that is lost when attachment takes over. The societal critique we usually believe that as we grow older, we become wiser and more experienced and closer to the truth. But in reality, what often happens is that society and the people around you start to install their beliefs in your mind. Challenges the notion of linear progress, suggesting that adulthood often brings more confusion due to external programming. The examples, if you're not married by the time you're 30, you're going to end up alone. If you go through divorce, your love life is over. Illustrate the specific fear-based narratives society injects into women's minds, creating artificial deadlines and catastrophes. The summary, all these opinions from other people that basically say, hey, there's only one way, one path to experience a fulfilling life. Everything outside of that is mediocrity or disappointment. Exposes the rigidity of societal expectations, showing how they limit personal freedom and create unnecessary shame. The warning and the problems arise when you start believing those opinions as facts, identifies the moment of internalization as the source of the problem, empowering the listener to choose what they believe. The statement, "most women have an anxious attachment style, right?" normalizes the struggle, letting the listener know they are not broken, but rather part of a common pattern. The insight, so a lot of the dating advice being given to men online is pretty much how to get women attached to you through triggering anxiety in her, reveals the dark side of the dating industry, exposing manipulative tactics used to create dependency. The mention of trauma bonding, and the problem is that it can be quite effective, I've done some of it in the past, adds a layer of radical honesty and vulnerability from the speaker, admitting past faults to build trust and show growth. The consequence and the problem is that it gets to the point that the relationship becomes so unhealthy, and now you gotta keep playing all these games because you're afraid that she will leave, describes the exhausting cycle of manipulation that results from insecurity, painting a bleak picture of what happens when love is based on fear. The resolution. So whenever I meet a woman now, I try to bring her into my secure frame. I put the cards on the table, like, this is me, baby. I'm all about love, peace, and quiet. Demonstrates the alternative approach of radical transparency and security, offering a safe harbor from the chaos. The boundary. If you want chaos, if you want anxiety, you can go find that somewhere else. Establishes a strong standard, showing that peace is non-negotiable and that the speaker values his own energy. Number 2, What are you lacking, ladies? Shifts the focus to internal voids, asking the hard question about what is missing within the self that is being projected onto the partner. The assertion, the only reason that you would chase a man is if you believe that he has something that you're missing, identifies the root of the chase as a belief in personal inadequacy, framing the pursuit as a quest for completion. The explanation, you're seeking fulfillment outside of yourself and giving away your power by placing this man in a higher position than you, describes the dynamic of disempowerment, showing how looking outward for validation strips one of their own agency. The metaphor. It's like you're in your car, but you're sitting in the back seat while this man controls the wheel and makes you feel like a passenger in your own life, creates a vivid image of lost control, illustrating how women surrender their autonomy in relationships. The repetition, waiting for his validation, waiting for his approval, waiting for him to make you feel worthy, emphasizes the passive stance of waiting, highlighting the exhaustion of depending on another for self-esteem. The core truth, and if there's one thing that I want you to take from this video, is that no one is inherently special. Only your mind makes them so. Dismantles the pedestal women put men on, revealing that specialness is a projection of the observer's mind. The insight, the light that you see in him, that sense of uniqueness, is really your own qualities being reflected back at you. Explains the psychological concept of projection, teaching that what we admire in others is often what we possess but do not recognize in ourselves. The mirror metaphor. The love that you notice in other people is a mirror of the love that you hold within yourself. Reinforces the idea that external reality reflects internal state, urging women to cultivate love within to see it without. The clarification. Detachment doesn't mean that you stop caring or that you become cold and emotionless. Addresses the common fear that detachment equals numbness, redefining it as a state of wholeness rather than absence. The definition, the attachment is about feeling complete in here and not having to look for anything out there, summarizes the goal of inner fulfillment, positioning self-completion as the antidote to chasing. The observation, one thing that I always notice in the women I coach is that you ladies feel that you're not doing enough to attract someone's love. Highlights the feeling of insufficiency that drives over-efforting, validating the exhaustion of trying too hard. The examples, you want to write the perfect text message for him, to give him the perfect gift, more proof that no other woman is going to love him like you do. Illustrate the specific behaviors of overinvestment, showing how women try to buy love through perfection and uniqueness. The harsh reality is that many times what's keeping you stuck in your love life is not a lack of action. It's a lack of acceptance. Flips the script, suggesting that doing less and accepting more is the actual solution. The dual acceptance, accepting yourself and accepting that other people may not see your full potential. Because the moment you try to prove your worth to someone is the moment that you start doubting yourself. Links self-acceptance with the cessation of proving, showing that the need to prove implies a fear of not being enough. The analogy, and I always give you the example, if you had the winning lottery ticket, no man would doubt its value. Uses a powerful metaphor of inherent worth, illustrating that true value does not need explanation or defense. The advice. So if he doesn't feel that he won the lottery in life by having you by his side, I suggest that you cut the losses and move on. Provides a clear, actionable step based on self-worth, empowering women to leave situations where they are not celebrated. Number 3, trust the journey. Introduces the final pillar of the philosophy, shifting from self-work to faith in the process of life. The quote. Here's one quote that always sticks with me. You're here to experience life, not to control it. Offers a mantra for surrender, contrasting the human desire for control with the purpose of experience. The repetition. Listen to that again. You're here to experience life, not to control it. Reinforces the message, ensuring it penetrates the listener's subconscious. The personal disclosure, I don't know if you practice any religion. I personally don't, but I'm deeply spiritual. Navigates the topic of faith without alienating non-religious viewers. framing spirituality as a personal connection to life rather than dogma. The testimony and the one thing that has helped me the most to detach from outcomes and people is trusting the journey. Shares personal evidence of the method's effectiveness, building confidence in the advice. The identification of error. I think the mistake that we often make is focusing too much on a desire for someone, instead of seeing what purpose this person serves in our lives. Shifts the perspective from getting to learning, reframing relationships as classrooms rather than destinations. The question, what lesson is the universe trying to teach you through this person, invites introspection, encouraging the listener to find meaning in pain rather than just suffering through it. The prompt think about your first painful experiences when it comes to love, like going through heartbreak in high school maybe, or college, guides the listener to recall past pain, creating a bridge between past suffering and current understanding. The reframing, how do you view those things now? I bet that you just see it as a memory that taught you something. Changes the narrative of past pain from tragedy to education, showing how time and perspective heal wounds. The clarification. Now, I do want to clarify because this confuses many of you. Trusting the journey is not being passive, is being in control and accepting the journey as it unfolds before you. Distinguishes between surrender and laziness. Defining trust as an active engagement with reality. The transition. And to prove this point, I want to share with you ladies one of the most powerful poems that I've ever read. It's one of my favorites, and it's called Aviv in 5 Chapters by Portia Nelson. Introduces a literary tool to cement the lesson, using storytelling to illustrate the abstract concept. The encouragement, if you're still here watching this, is the best thing that you hear today builds anticipation and values the viewer's attention, promising a high reward for staying engaged. The recitation. Okay, so here it is. Chapter 1. I walk down the street. There is a deep hole in the sidewalk. I fall in. I am lost. I am helpless. It isn't my fault. It takes forever to find a way out. Tells the story of unconscious victimhood, where one is unaware of the patterns causing their pain. Chapter 2. I walk down the same street. There is a deep hole in the sidewalk. I pretend I don't see it. I fall in again. I can't believe I am in the same place, but it isn't my fault. It still takes me a long time to get out. Describes the stage of denial, where awareness exists but is ignored, leading to repeated suffering. Chapter 3. I walk down the same street. There is a deep hole in the sidewalk. I see it is there. I still fall in. It's a habit. My eyes are open. I know where I am. It is my fault. I get out immediately. Marks the turning point of ownership, where recognizing the pattern allows for quicker recovery and responsibility. Chapter 4. I walk down the same street. There is a deep hole in the sidewalk. Walk. I walk around it. Shows the stage of mastery, where one navigates life skillfully, avoiding known pitfalls. Chapter 5. I walk down a different street. Represents ultimate freedom, where one changes their entire path to avoid the environment that created the holes in the first place. The closing reflection. All right, ladies, I know this whole video is a bit more spiritual and abstract than my previous content, but I love to hear from you in the comments. Let me know if you found it helpful, or do you prefer content that is more action-oriented, like the step-by-step guides that I usually make? Invites community engagement and feedback, showing respect for the audience's preferences and fostering a two-way conversation. The gratitude. Thanks so much for subscribing to the channel. I'm glad that you've chosen me to learn about self-love, dating, and relationship dynamics. Expresses appreciation for the viewer's commitment, reinforcing the bond between creator and audience. The final wisdom. Because like I always say, for your relationships to change, you need to change. Delivers the ultimate truth that external change is impossible without internal transformation, leaving the viewer with an empowering call to action. The sign-off, "Have a beautiful day," ends the interaction on a positive and uplifting note, sending the viewer back into their life with a blessing.